Today is motorhome oil change day. Got the motorhome warming up just to get the oil hot. It takes approximately 6 gallons. So I have the oil here. I did the generator maintenance yesterday, which is only 3 quarts. The rest of the oil that you see there is I'm due for an oil change on my Ram as well, so that's going to be tomorrow's project. This is the oil filter for the Cummins ISC in my motorhome. You pre-fill that filter and then screw it on. It holds 1 gallon of oil. So I have a Fumoto valve on the oil pan, which makes draining it very easy and clean. Pretty easy job. Once you put a gallon of oil in that oil filter, it is a little heavy to lift up one-handed and screw it on. But, you know, I've owned this motorhome for 16, 17 years, so I've gotten pretty good at it. I'll come back. Okay, I'm going to do this a little differently this time. Normally I have a big plastic tub that's actually the bottom of a 55-gallon plastic drum that I slide under here and drain all the oil into it, and then I transfer it to smaller containers to take it to the dump for disposal. What I'm going to do this time, since I have the Fumoto valve there, I'm going to hook up the plastic drain to the nipple, and then I'm going to drain a gallon or so into here, maybe a gallon and a half, and then the remainder should fill up this 5-gallon oil drain bucket. So as you can see, up here is the oil filter. I'll pre-fill the other one with a gallon and screw it on. I have a strap filter wrench that I'll show here in a minute that I use to take that off. So if you got one of these diesel pusher motorhomes, the cost at Camping World for the generator and the engine oil change and filters, of course, is $650. It costs about $160 to do them both yourself. So you can take the rest of that money and put it in the diesel fuel tank. So let me get to this in just a minute. I'm going to be much too dirty to handle my phone, so I'll come back. Hope this helps. The Fumoto valve just has a little plastic lock that pops off. Make sure that that's pointed into the drain, and then just a lever. So you unlock it, and there you go. It's a little slower than pulling the drain plug, but it's a lot less messy and a lot more controllable. Okay, I got the old filter out, getting ready to pre-fill this one. One thing I did want to talk about was this oil filter. On the top of it, as you can see, it has this gasket. This gasket is not glued down. You got to be very careful, even though it is on a lip, right? And I'm not sure how this happened. But years ago, I did an oil change on this, and that gasket got dislodged as I was putting it in. And you can't see it. I didn't feel it when I was tightening it up. I started up the motorhome, and it immediately made oil pressure like it always does. But then the oil pressure gauge started flickering a little bit. I immediately shut it off, walked back to the back of the motorhome, and found what turned out to be a little over 2 gallons of oil that was just blown all over the RV port. That's actually, even though it was 12, 13 years ago, that's actually where that stain came from. So just be cautious and just be aware of that. I thought that they were glued down and that there was no way it could be dislodged, but you can actually just pop that seal right off. You do lubricate the top of it when you put it in. Other than that, this is a very simple job. When I looked at my oil pan that I said was 5 gallons, it actually says 16 quarts. So even my limited education knows that that is 4 gallons and not 5. So I filled that up and got my little pan again and finished it off. So it's just now trickling. So it's about done. I'm going to let it drain here for a little while. And since I got a light under here this time, I'll see if I can show where the oil filter goes. There it is. There we go. The filter to the right of the screen is actually the coolant filter. I use peak final charge in this, so the filter I use does not have SCA additives. So that's a 6-year coolant. I'm good for another year on that, I think. The tube to the right that causes all this caked on mess is actually called the slobber tube. On motorhomes that have rear radiators, this one has a side radiator, so it's not an issue. But on motorhomes with rear radiators, a lot of people will extend those down to the ground or run them to a catch can because the oil vapor will clog up rear radiators. So if you do have a rear radiator motorhome, just something to be aware of. I believe that is it for now. Okay, the new oil filter is on. Always put the date and the mileage on the bottom, even though I do put an oil change sticker on the windshield. One thing to note about these oil filters, the instructions are on the side. Hopefully, let me get some light so you can see this. It tells you to pre-fill it. Once you get it as tight as you can by hand, you have to go 3/4 of a turn further. So that's what I always do. That 3/4 of a turn is very tight. So it's not like an oil filter on a car where you just screw the thing on hand tight and walk away. If you do that, it will leak. So I'll come back and show the wrenches that I use, and then I'll close this out. See you in a minute. As I said earlier about the seal, you got to be very careful that you don't dislodge that when you put the filter up in the place. As you can see, the old oil filter was just upside down in this drain pan, and the seal just slid right off. So it does go over the lip, but it's not glued. So just be cautious of that because you will bang the filter around a little bit, getting it up into position to put it back on. Okay folks, these are the filter wrenches that you need. Again, since you're putting that thing on so tight, expect that filter to be very difficult to get off. For especially tough filters, I'll use this strap wrench. You hook up a 1/2-inch drive ratchet and an extension to it. I was able to get this one off with this heavy-duty filter wrench. However, I did have to use a breaker bar. I put everything I had on that little ratchet and it did not move. So, word to the wise on that. If I remember, I will put links to those two filter wrenches in the description. This is more for demonstration purposes. As you can see, the fill there is just ridiculous, right? So save yourself a lot of aggravation, because it will take you hours to put 5 gallons of oil through that little funnel, right? And with the angle of this, you can't get a larger funnel in. So do what I did. On my motorhome, if I extend the bedroom slide, there's 4 screws to take the floor up, right? That lets you get to the cap on the valve cover. You can use a large funnel and just pour that stuff straight in. So save yourself the aggravation. If you have access to the top of the engine, that is so much better than this. So with that, I'll end this video. Please, if you have any questions, ask them. Again, this job will save you $500 in labor, and it really isn't bad to do. Take care.